Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the CR Sports Podcast. It's been a minute, and it is the Super Bowl now. So, Colin doesn't have a mic right tonight, so that's going to be a little bit interesting, but it should be all good. Big game, Chiefs 49ers. It's a rematch from the 2019 Super Bowl, and it should be an interesting one. It's Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs trying to win their second in a row.
Yeah, really, it's been a long season, been a great season. Unfortunately, this is kind of the Super Bowl that it felt like no one wanted to see, but you know what, we got it. So should be an interesting game. I don't know who to pick. It's a toss up to me.
Super Bowl Sunday is certainly upon us, like Colin said. I think if you switched in a lot of different teams and made a lot of different matchups, it would have made a lot of people happier. This matchup seems like a lot of times in sports we love rematches, but I don't really think there's too many people who are dying to see this rematch. But it's pretty much two evenly matched teams, the number one seed out of the NFC, and then the team who's just dominated the AFC playoffs for the last 6 years.
Yeah,
It's the dynasty of the Chiefs, Colin, and I really think that they're the team of obviously this generation, you can say, and the recent memory teams, but it's also a big game for them. If you win two in a row, that's what cements a team as a dynasty. Obviously, you can say, well, Patrick Mahomes, he's only ever been to the AFC Championship game as a starter. It's a truly remarkable mark for him, especially for any quarterback in their career. But you look at what other quarterbacks do, they can get to Super Bowls, and sometimes it doesn't always work out for them. So he's proven that when he has protection and time, and guys against when he plays against guys that are not named Tom Brady, he's got a real chance in any game. I feel confident in Mahomes.
it's really interesting because this Chiefs team is kind of an anomaly compared to the previous successful Chiefs teams because their offense is not explosive really at all, and their defense is probably, I would argue, the best in the NFL. Steve Spagnuolo is probably one of the best defensive coordinators in the NFL. Chris Jones, probably one of the best D linemen in the NFL, and they held the number one seed Baltimore Ravens to 10 points.
Yeah, three of those in the second half. The Chiefs' defense in the second half hasn't allowed double-digit points in like the last 10 weeks or so. It's been just absolutely remarkable. They haven't even had to make that many adjustments because they haven't been allowing many points in the first half either. I don't know if you remember, after the Chiefs beat the Dolphins overseas, I think the game was in Germany, Mahomes and Kelsey both said, this is scary. This is the best team we've ever had. This defense is legit. The offense wasn't even playing well, but they're like, if our defense is this good, don't worry about us.
And it's not even during that time they were playing their best football. They've gotten better as this season has progressed, and especially in the playoffs. They've been playing phenomenal football. And a team that was playing really, really good in the regular season and now is playing a little bit worse, it's the Niners. They've gotten to the Super Bowl, but you can say they haven't been playing their best football by far. They were a much better team in the regular season. Against the Packers, it felt like they were going to lose that game. Kind of surprised they didn't at times. And then the Lions, who had a huge lead on them, 17-point lead, they blew it. And it's bad calls by Dan Campbell that let the Niners stay alive and win the game. The going for it on fourth down multiple times in that second half when there was 3 points on the board, and especially when you lost by 3, it's a big mistake by the Lions, and it gave the Niners life, and now they're the ones in Vegas.
Yeah, I don't love putting all the blame on Dan Campbell. The Lions players definitely could have picked up the slack. I think the fumble was really the key turning point. Obviously, you would have liked to see Dan Campbell kick the field goal with 8 minutes to go in the third quarter, and then it's halfway through the third quarter, it's a wash as both team just has a field goal and you're back to where you started. But you can't place too much of the blame. His aggressive calls and just the nature of his play style is the reason that they got there in the first place. So
It could be the reason they got there, but it's also the reason they fell and lost.
I agree with Garrett 100% here. It is the reason they got there. Dan Campbell's aggressive play call. They should have beat the Cowboys from it.
Well, but the same thing can be said. The things that he's doing. So during that Cowboys game that you talk about, he went for it on a fake punt, and there's things where you see him throughout the year. There's just decisions where going for it on fourth down in deep in your own territory near the 20-25 yard line. That's a thing that not a lot of coaches do. And granted, it worked for him a lot throughout the season, right? But I said watching it all year, he's bound to fail. He's bound to fall. If you live and die by this, eventually it will get you, and that's just a common thing that happens. So he had a lot of success, and honestly, an uncanny amount of success compared to what other quarterbacks what other coaches have in the NFL when they go forward in these risky plays. But it also backfired on him completely in the biggest game of the year in the NFC Championship.
yeah, I was watching the game and I saw a stat. It said when the Lions are going for it in opponent's territories, I think it was like 4th and 5 or less, they were like 18 for 20 on the year. That's 90%. And for a Lions team who has never even held a home playoff game in their stadium, to make it to the NFC Championship and build a 17-point lead, I don't think the fans should be justified for attacking their coach.
I think they should be frustrated with him, though, because you want your coach to not be a fan. You want your coach to be a level-headed guy who says, this is the smart decision we have to make, whether we want it or not. We want the 7 points, obviously. We want the 6. We want the touchdown.
Yeah, but
But you have to, Garrett, you sometimes have to say,
that's
we need points, and we need to grow our lead and make it even again. And against the 49ers, the number 1 seed in the NFC.
That's his
On the road.
personality. Like when he came there, the Lions fans and all the rest of the NFL fans realized that's what he's going to be about. So credit to him for not switching up and for sticking with it. Did it work out in the NFC Championship? No, but there's other plays. It wasn't just his bad play calling that was the reason the Lions lost. They had a 17-point lead. You can't completely blame it on coaching that the 49ers won.
Brandon Ayuk caught a 50-yard bomb off the Lions player, or off. Was it off his helmet? Whatever. Off someone's helmet and brought it down to the 5-yard line. I mean, you can't blame Dan Campbell for that. Can't blame Dan Campbell for Jahmyr Gibbs' fumble. Like, there's
I'm not.
a ton you could blame the game on, and it all just doesn't go down to Dan Campbell going for on 4th down like he has all year.
Yeah, I'm not saying that it's only Dan Campbell's fault that they lost that game. Obviously, like the Jahmyr Gibbs fumble is a huge momentum shift, especially when the Niners just scored. But the thing is, you have to be the one that helps out your team. You have to help out your players when they're the ones that make mistakes. You don't want to add on to it. And I felt that he was adding on to it by making those decisions for going on 4th down.
Yeah, so getting back to the 49ers side of this, I think it's sort of safe to say, I know that they just had an just aggressive outburst of offense in the second half against the Lions, but it feels like they got outplayed in both their games so far, but that's what the bye will give you. You get a bye, you get to the divisional round, you get the Packers maybe a little worn down, you saw in the second half from playing the Cowboys the previous week, so the 49ers are able to squeak by, and then the 49ers are able to just produce this offensive masterpiece in the second half where the Lions can't seem to stop them. And even though it feels like they weren't the best team in the NFC in the playoffs, they're in the Super Bowl.
Well, it felt like that. I don't know how the Cowboys would have possibly worn down the Packers. They did nothing to stop them all game. But going back to the Niners, I think overall what I'm saying from the Lions game, they should have lost that game. They were outplayed. The Lions played better than them, and it was just it's kind of continued. So the Niners, they're not playing their best football, and the Chiefs clearly are. They beat a Buffalo Bills. Well, they beat a Dolphins team first that isn't that great.
Super injured.
Okay, but also at the same time, it's not like it's some garbage team that got in. It's not like they're playing like the worst team to ever make the playoffs. The Miami Dolphins had firepower.
Dolphins
I know
don't
it was
win.
a cold game.
They don't win in cold weather.
I know it was a cold game and stuff, but it's not like it was. They're playing the Commanders in the round 1. So they beat them. Then they go on to beat the Bills, and then they beat the Ravens last week. And even though it was 17-10, the final score, it never felt like the game was that close. It felt like the Chiefs were always in firm control of that game, and it honestly felt like that the Ravens never had a chance. It felt like the Chiefs were the way better team, and that's completely different than what we saw in the regular season.
Yeah, I mean, I like one of the points you made. The 49ers had their bye. I think that's one of the biggest advantages in all of sports when it comes to the playoffs. Because you see now the Chiefs are without Joe Thuney, one of their best O linemen, and with that San Francisco D line, that is going to be a problem. And obviously the 49ers are basically completely healthy now.
Well, he wasn't available for them in the AFC Championship game either.
Correct, but
They seem to do fine against that really good Ravens defense.
I think the 49ers defensive line at least is better than the Ravens defensive line.
Yeah, I was really impressed with the Chiefs' defense. The Ravens were actually in the game. They just had some terrible turnovers down the stretch. The fumble at the 1-yard line. Lamar Jackson throws the ball into triple coverage.
Really bad.
Lamar played horrible. I feel like Brock Purdy's gonna play better than Lamar.
Well, the Ravens also ditched the run game, which they build their whole identity off of.
Lamar just didn't run the ball. Like I felt like there were times where he could have just tucked it and ran. Instead, he's trying to chuck it down.
He had that one really long
His best
run.
play was the self pass.
Yeah, that was something. I didn't expect that.
It did create a really interesting Super Bowl matchup. I am surprised
Marcus
that
Mariota did.
I am surprised the 49ers are favored in this matchup, though. I feel that the Chiefs.
It's 2.5. Right?
They're the last I saw was 1.5, but it's right around there.
Off at 2.5.
The Chiefs are the dynasty, and they have the best quarterback in the NFL, a top 5 quarterback of all time, might end his career as the greatest of all time. And the 49ers, they have Brock Purdy. He's shown flashes in the Super Bowl, in the playoffs, but he's also struggled.
They also have Kyle Shanahan.
I'd rather have Patrick
He
Mahomes.
he makes Brock Purdy.
I'd rather have
play
Patrick
better.
Mahomes than Kyle Shanahan.
Here's my thing with Brock Purdy this game. If Brock Purdy can evade the Chiefs pass rush, then I think the 40 and like do a good job. on
Brock
pressure,
Purdy is
I feel
ridiculously
I feel
overrated.
Like the 49ers can definitely win this game.
That's an old drop from last year, Garrett, when we were talking about Brock Purdy. I think the same thing has kind of been continuing throughout this season. It's just a question mark. Is it the system? Is it Purdy, right?
Everyone knows it's the system.
Well, but there's some people who don't think that, Colin. There's a lot of people who think that it's really just Brock Purdy's a good quarterback and give him respect and give him credit. And I think there is some credit that needs to go around for Brock Purdy. He knows how to win games. But at the same time, he's not some ultra-talented quarterback. He's Mr. Irrelevant for a reason. He doesn't have like this crazy size to him, arm power, any of the measurables that you go, wow, Brock Purdy stands out. Patrick Mahomes does. And, I'm not basing it off of that just because of how they came out of the draft. But Mahomes, you're right. He's on pace to maybe be the best quarterback of all time. He's chasing Brady. And if he wins this game, he will be. The conversation will start to come. Can Patrick Mahomes, what is he, 27? Can he get to Tom Brady's 7 Super Bowls? I think there's a chance. This would be 3, so it'd be something.
I mean, he needs 4 more to say that.
He's 27.
Okay, 4 more Super Bowls in what? Maybe eight years. That's
He's not playing till 35. Why is he going to play till 35?
Is Bill Russell the greatest NBA player of all time? He's got the most rings. So then Patrick Mahomes has to get 7 Super Bowls
Okay.
to get.
Wait,
to
why
get Brady.
why
can't Mahomes be greater if he doesn't get
first
there?
of all, Brady beat Mahomes, and Brady has how many?
Mahomes
MVPs?
didn't have an offensive line.
It doesn't matter.
What were you saying?
I said Brady beat Mahomes
Okay.
in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Also, how many MVPs does Brady have? Does anyone know? I don't.
I 2, 3. We sound
It's
like
a regular
we're-
season award.
We're not knowledged right now, but
I think it should play into the conversation.
It's a regular season award.
It should definitely play into. No one is going to be better than Tom Brady. You need to get that notion out of your head.
I would put Patrick Mahomes over Tom Brady if he continues on the trajectory that he's on.
yeah. I think the thing is though, where you got to look at Mahomes. He's just really good. He's great. He's getting to an AFC Championship game every single year. Who says he can't keep doing that? And no one thought, especially with a regular season like this that they had, they show if they get in the playoffs, it doesn't matter. It's Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. They can go anywhere.
Here's what's going to keep Patrick Mahomes out of the Super Bowl for a while is going to be Andy Reid retiring. Andy Reid's old. I feel like his career is coming to a close. I feel like if they win this game, he might retire. There's been rumors about it, so I feel like without Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, he's not going to take a step back. But
I mean, Mahomes already a 2-time MVP too. Like
I know, but I'm just saying the team itself without Andy Reid is going to be a lot worse if he retires. You know that day is coming soon.
I think it's more Mahomes than Andy Reid. Let's be honest.
I'm not saying it's not Mahomes. I'm just saying Mahomes without Andy Reid is not going to be a dynasty.
Eric Bieniemy back. He's got him. He's out of Washington.
I trust the Chiefs organization as a whole, and Patrick Mahomes has shown he can win pretty much every way. He can win handing the ball off. He can win throwing the ball down the field. He can win
to no receivers.
He
by
can
the way.
win just throwing it to Kelsey. He can win being a game manager.
When have we seen a team in the Super Bowl like this without any They don't have good receivers outside of Rasheed Rice.
Travis Kelce.
Aging Travis Kelce, who was not the same guy this year,
Did you see him against the Ravens? He was the best player on the field.
playing really good in the playoffs because they know how to win. They're a very good team.
Exactly.
And that's why I have them winning this game tomorrow.
I think the 49ers are going to win.
I have to go with the Chiefs. I can't pick against Mahomes.
I got 27-24 Chiefs on top.
I have it the other way around, 27-24 49ers.
I have
I have an original thought,
think
Colin.
I
I have a
have-
different score.
I think it's going to be a really, really close game. I think these teams are super evenly matched.
I got 27-13 Chiefs. I think the Chiefs defense is just going to be too much. They're going to frustrate, bottle up McCaffrey, and make.
You guys act like the 49ers defense is not good.
The 49ers defense they've been playing good.
I just think the Chiefs are better than the 49ers.
What did the Lions just do to
The
that?
49ers aren't a dynasty. The
The
Chiefs
Lions
are.
I would argue that the Lions have a better offense than the Chiefs do.
Well, I mean, the Chiefs don't have receivers. They
They
don't.
don't have exactly. They don't have a very good. They don't have a very good offense. If you take away the run and take away Travis Kelce,
The Chiefs have a pretty good
The
offense.
Chiefs have a very good offense. They can control the game with their defense too, so they don't need their offense to go score 50. They're in a very good position.
And as underdogs, there's just an extra chip on their shoulder. It's the reason.
not play into it. It's the Super Bowl. Everyone's gonna have a chip on their shoulder.
Eagles beg to differ.
I just- It's
I mean, was that not an underdog thing? They were like, we don't have.
Mahomes
anybody.
is what 13-2 or 14-2 in the playoffs. It's just he doesn't lose in the playoffs. He knows
He's lost to Burrow.
he knows how to win.
He's lost 3 games. He's lost to Burrow and Brady twice.
Yeah. So then or I think it was 14-2 in like the AFC or 13-2 in the AFC.
Yes.
And then he's 2-1 in the Super Bowl. So if he can move to 3-1 in the Super Bowl, and you don't think he can catch
And
Brady,
he's not even 30 yet. He's 3 years removed from 30.
you don't think he can catch Brady. Why?
He's not gonna win 7 Super Bowls.
That's what everyone said about Tom Brady and
would have to
chasing
win-
Joe Montana.
He
Come
would
on.
have to win 7 Super Bowls in order for me to put him ahead of Tom Brady and more MVPs.
If he won 6 Super Bowls, you're telling me when you watch them play, you don't go Patrick Mahomes looks better than Tom Brady. You're not gonna.
Forgetting how unbelievable Tom Brady was.
No, like,
You think the Chiefs were You think the Chiefs are a dynasty now? The Patriots' reign was for like 15 years.
the conversation starts tomorrow night if the Chiefs win the game. It starts tomorrow night of what Mahomes can do in the future.
You're speculating Patrick Mahomes to win 4 Super Bowls.
No, I'm not. I'm saying he can, and I'm saying he doesn't have to win 7.
How many more does he have to win?
I think 5. You have a real conversation. I think 5.
I agree.
7 to 5, and you're telling me you take the guy with 5 Super Bowls over the guy with
So
7?
then how come the GOAT of every sport isn't just the person with the most
I mean, why is Michael Jordan the go to basketball?
Quarterback is different because it's the most valuable position on.
But
in
that's
sports.
1 of 11 in basketball to 1 of 5.
Is Dan Marino a good quarterback?
Yeah.
Did Dan Marino win a Super Bowl?
No.
Is he one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time?
Yes, he's not. I'm not putting.
Okay.
Never did I put Dan Marino in the conversation of Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes.
If Mahomes
Dan,
wins,
Dan Marino is highly regarded as in the conversation of greatest quarterbacks.
if
of all
Mahomes
time.
wins tomorrow,
With Tom Brady?
Greatest quarterback.
I'm talking about Tom. I'm talking about the greatest, not greatest, not greatest. I'm talking about-
Garrett's right.
if Mahomes wins tomorrow, is he better than Peyton Manning? Because he'd have more Super Bowls.
Yeah, by far.
I mean, yeah, I would say so.
I think he already is better than Peyton Manning. Watch the.
You're
two of them.
basing whether he wins tomorrow or
You guys are
not.
basing this off speculation. You're just assuming that he's gonna.
No, I think right now Patrick Mahomes is better than
It's
Peyton Manning.
unlikely that he wins 2 more Super Bowls.
I would just
Like,
disagree with that.
The odds are not in his favor.
You think he's gonna win 2 more Super Bowls?
Statistically, it's not likely.
Where he plays for another 13 years.
technically,
guys, let's say he plays till.
It wasn't
30.
statistically in Tom Brady's favor to win 7,
No,
was it?
Garrett, let's say he plays till 40. 13 more or 12 more seasons of Patrick Mahomes. He's not gonna win 2 Super Bowls.
Okay.
I mean, the guy doesn't lose.
You can't just assume that he's gonna win.
The only one he loses to is the GOAT, who is now gone. He's gone. It's his league. It's Mahomes' league.
There's no way you take 5 Super Bowls over 7 Super Bowls.
I don't
And
know.
by the
We got to
way,
see what it looks like when we get
Tom
there.
Brady's stats are gonna be way better because Tom Brady is gonna have played for way longer than Patrick Mahomes.
How do you know? That's speculation too. You don't know how long Mahomes is going to play for.
So the Chiefs dynasty right now
So
is
he's not gonna play till he's like, what was he, like 43?
the amount of success the Chiefs have had is
That's very
equal.
40.
The Chiefs dynasty right now is equal to the Patriots dynasty. It just hasn't gone on for as long. Yes, it is.
Yes, exactly.
In 6 seasons as a starter, Mahomes is going to go to 4 Super Bowls. How is that not equal to what the Patriots have done? Just not over as long of a
It
span.
was over 20 years for the Patriots. The only thing they have.
Yeah.
It should be a fun game, and this conversation will continue after the Super Bowl, especially if the Chiefs
Think about it. As a starter on the Chiefs, if Mahomes wins tomorrow, he wins the Super Bowl 50% of the time as a starter.
Yeah.
That's better than Brady.
I mean, Brady's been to way more Super Bowls.
Because he's older. Because he played in the league longer.
How many? Brady went to what? 10?
11, I think.
No. He's 7-3. He lost to Manning twice in Foles.
No.
Yeah, he lost to Manning twice in Foles.
Okay. Eli.
Yeah. Not Peyton.
I was like,
They play in the same conference.
But it should be a fun Super Bowl. I think it's going to be a close game. I really do. Garrett thinks it's going to be a little bit out of hand. Obviously, you have the Chiefs. I have the Chiefs as well. But both Colin and I, even though we disagree with who's going to win, it's going to be a close one. I think Vegas kind of hit it on the head with like the spread, but just the wrong team. I think it should be the Chiefs minus 2.5.
Vegas knows what they're doing. You always trust Vegas. Trust me, I know from experience. My bank account knows from experience.
All right, so this guy who thinks that he knows what he's
But
talking about.
I don't gamble. I'm underage. But.
Okay, that's enough from you. That's going to bring it to a close on the Super Bowl edition of the CR Sports Podcast. Thanks for listening, everybody, and stay tuned and let's see what happens after the Super Bowl.
We'll try to get some more college basketball talk into his NFL
I wanna
season
have
wraps
this debate.
up.
If Patrick Mahomes wins, I want to have this debate again.
And Garrett, make sure everyone stays tuned for a special Finger Lakes 1 interview coming up next, maybe on the 19th of February. Stay tuned, everyone. Thanks for listening.